Tina, what are you saying? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're talking to me, but you're not saying anything. What are you doing? Hello? What?
This is how I'm going to introduce the events of John the Baptist's birth.
Oh.
It's the story of Zachariah and Elizabeth's hope in the Lord. See, Zachariah and his wife were Jews who patiently waited the coming of the Messiah, Jesus, and served in the temple at Jerusalem shortly before Jesus' birth.
Oh, well, that's a relief. I thought I was going deaf, and you suddenly became mute. Huh.
No, much as you might like it, I am not mute. We're continuing our Advent lessons about hope, and I think it's appropriate to tell about the birth of John the Baptist from Zachariah's point of view. At first, he had no hope of ever having a child at all.
Oh, that's really, really, really sad.
It's really, really sad. It is sad, isn't it?
Yes.
It was sad, but God changed his hopelessness into hopefulness because he finally believed what God had promised.
A child?
Yes, and much more. He believed in the coming of the Savior, Jesus, and knew his son would be the prophet of the Most High God, preparing the hearts of the people to receive God's Son, that is Jesus. Zechariah prophesied this by the Spirit of God at his son's birth.
Wow. So, why pretend you were mute? You couldn't talk.
Because Zechariah didn't believe God's promise at first, and he couldn't talk for a very long time until he had faith that God would bless him and his wife Elizabeth with a son.
Okay.
And that his son would announce the coming of Jesus, the Savior of the world. Mike, what? What? Oh, now you're pretending to be mute. Tell the story? All right, this is the story of John the Baptist's birth. Hi there! You! Yeah, you! Would it be okay if we told the kids your story? Great! This is Zechariah. He is a Levite, a priest of the Most High God. You're married, right, Zechariah? And your wife's name is Elizabeth? You've been married a long time, right? And how many kids do you have? One? A toddler? Wow! You really did wait a long time to have kids, didn't you? You called your son John, right? But John is a special child, isn't he? Oh, right, sorry. Zechariah was serving in the temple one day, and as he was burning incense before God, he was, shall we say, interrupted. Suddenly, there stood to the right side of the altar of incense an angel. The angel had good news for him. He told Zechariah that he and Elizabeth would have a son. But Zechariah didn't so much believe him, did you, Zechariah? However, this wasn't just any angel. This was Gabriel, who stands in the presence of God. Because Zechariah didn't believe the word that God had given Gabriel to tell him, God made him mute until the birth of his son. How'd that work out for you, Zechariah? Not so great? I bet. When Zechariah left the temple, it became obvious that something had happened. I mean, he could speak when he went in, right? There was nothing Zechariah could do but wait. He went home, and soon his wife Elizabeth was expecting a baby. This was an amazing thing, since they were both very old. Sorry, Zechariah. All of their relatives and neighbors rejoiced with the parents, and when the baby was born, it was a boy, just as the angel had said. When the time came for the baby to be dedicated, everyone assumed his name would be Zechariah, after his father. But Zechariah had told Elizabeth about Gabriel, and she knew that the name should be John, and that's what she said. The relatives went to Zechariah to be certain that she was correct, and he called for some paper and wrote down, "His name is John." And immediately Zechariah was able to speak, and he rejoiced and praised God for keeping his promises. He explained to the people that John was special and that he would be a prophet and prepare the people to follow Jesus. Thanks, Zechariah, for helping us tell your story. But there's one thing you overlooked in all this, isn't there? Well, it's your name. Zechariah means God remembers. He remembered you and what he had promised to all of his people. Okay, stop it. Stop it. I think it's time to stop that now.
That's a lot of fun. Zechariah had no faith in what God said through the angel Gabriel, did he?
No, he didn't.
His hope was like wishful thoughts that may or may not come true.
Yeah.
Wishing to have a child and a family, and wishing to have an important job or lots of money or lots of friends, perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, got the spinner right here, and this is wishful thinking or wishful thoughts. His hope had no voice and was without expectations or promises, and you just never know what will come up.
See, no matter how we spin wishful thoughts, we may not always get what we want, but God gives us the assurance of hope in Jesus.
Godly hope.
Zechariah finally believed God's promises and was a new man full of peace and joy. His hope had a voice in faith.
Zechariah is not unlike many of us, wishing for something and getting upset when things turn out not what we expected.
Yeah.
But Jesus is always with us no matter what happens. This is his promise to all of us.
Wonderful. So that is our lesson for the first week of Advent about hope. We'll see you next week for week 2 of Advent and light the candle of peace. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Bye.